Welcome friends. Today you are going to learn about groundwater. I hope you all know about groundwater. Actually, what is this groundwater? It is the water that percolates beneath the surface, or it is the water that lies beneath the ground surface, filling the pore space between grains in a bodies of sediment and clastic sedimentary rocks. It also fills the cracks and crevices in all types of rock. It is a major economic resource, as you all know. Groundwater is very valuable, and the branch of geology which deals with occurrence, distribution, movement of groundwater is referred as hydrogeology, and this hydro means related to water. So, water geology is hydrogeology, and in this picture you can see there are so many pore spaces, and look at the gaps in between the pore spaces. There are so many gaps, and once this gaps get filled with water, the groundwater lies within the spaces between the particles and also on the fractured rocks beneath the earth's surface. And actually this water falls as precipitations. So, rain is the main form of precipitation. It flows along the surface of the ground. The surface water infiltrates into the ground surface and is held in the soil pore space and in the fractures of rock formations. So, this gaining access to groundwater source therefore requires digging or drilling through the ground and into an aquifer. So, what is this aquifer? It is a water bearing formation. So, how you will access this water? So, you have to dig or drill through the ground and you have to access it into the aquifer. So, water cycle. So, water is cycling in this process. So, water is a constantly being recycled in the process known as water cycle. It is a major biogeochemical cycle controlled by solar energy. So, main driving force is sun or solar energy. It causes water to evaporate, and this evaporated water rise in the form of water vapor. Once the vapor begins to cool, then after begins to cool, it condenses into water droplets. So, next step is water condensation of water droplets. So, gravity is the driving force that pulls the water back down to the earth as precipitation. So, gravitational force is the main driving force that pulls the water back down to earth as precipitation. So, water falls on land directly or indirectly into water bodies like rivers, lakes, ponds, etc. And after the water has returned to the earth's surface, energy from the sun causes water to evaporate, thus completing the cycle. So, during water cycle process, water changes it into state from one phase to another, and the total number of water particles remain the same. So, the charges of state of water include evaporation, melting, freezing, sublimation, condensation and deposition. So, these are the various changes of states of water that is included within the water cycle. First stage is evaporation. So, once water evaporates, melts, freeze, sublimate, condense and finally it has deposited within the ocean bodies. All these changes require the application of energy. So, the various stages of water cycle can be summarized as: first one, evaporation. So, you all know evaporation. Then second stage is condensation. So, water vapor condenses, then sublimation. Then after sublimation it precipitates. Then next stage is transpiration. Then after transpiration a major part evolved as runoff water. So, a part of the runoff infiltrate into the ground surface and ultimately it is stored within the pore spaces as the groundwater. Explaining this water cycle. So, water cycle is the continuous process by which water moves through the environment, and as you all know, sun is the major driving force beneath the surface. A part of precipitation infiltrates into the ground as groundwater. So, when you observe the rain, a part of the precipitation is infiltrated into the surface as groundwater. Another part, it flows as surface runoff and joins with rivers. So, once rain happens, you can see the water running as surface runoff and ultimately it joins with rivers, lakes, ponds, etc. And finally, it reaches to the ocean. Later, from the oceans, ponds and all, it evaporates and rises up, and after condensation, it falls as precipitation, and the cycle is repeating. So, once the water evaporates, then condensation, then sublimation, precipitation, transportation, runoff and infiltration. Coming to the sources of groundwater, mainly there are three sources. First is meteoric water, connate water and juvenile water. So, meteoric water. So, actually what is this meteoric water? Have you heard the term meteors? Actually what is this meteoric water? Then second one is connate water and third one is juvenile water. So, we can go into detail about the meteoric water. Hope all of you heard about meteors. Actually this is not that meteor. It is the largest and most important or the chief source of the groundwater. So, this meteoric water is the main source or the largest and the important source for the source of groundwater. It is the water in the ground that has come from the atmospheric precipitation in the form of rain or snow. So, it is the main source which comes from atmospheric precipitation in the form of rain or snow. So, this water is mainly absorbed by the ground surface in the form of meteoric water. So, meteoric water is the water that is trapped by the pore spaces within the rocks as precipitation. So, the water is added to the groundwater by infiltration. So, water once falls as precipitation, it is infiltrated into the ground. So, what is this infiltration? Infiltration is the process by which water on the ground surface enters the soil. So, water is entering into the soil mainly by infiltration process. So, it is just like filtering. So, water filters into the ground by infiltration process. So, this is the main source of groundwater, that is meteoric water. Then second water is connate water. So, what is this connate water? It refers to the fresh water or salt water that were trapped in the pores of sedimentary rock as they were deposited. So, this is rocks like sedimentary rocks. So, what is the sedimentary rock? Sedimentary rocks are rich in fossils and all. Sedimentary rocks are layered rocks. So, it is formed by layers and layers. So, this connate water is occurs in the sedimentary rocks as they were deposited. So, this connate water is also known as fossil water. Fossil water means it is seen associated with sedimentary water. So, sedimentary rocks are mainly associated with fossils. So, water occurred in this sedimentary rock is known as fossil water or connate water. Then comes the third one, that is juvenile water. So, what is this juvenile water? Water added to the underground storage through magmatic emission or igneous activity is known as juvenile water or magmatic water. So, water is entering into the underground storage through magmatic emission. So, as you all know, deep into the earth surface there are so many igneous or activities, magmatic activities are taking place. So, due to this magmatic eruption, water gets trapped within the rocks. So, water originated at the time of this magmatic emission is known as juvenile water or magmatic water. So, these are the main sources of groundwater. Coming to the meteoric water, it is the largest and the most important source. So, that is meteoric water is the main water that is formed from the atmospheric precipitation. So, from precipitation water reaches into the ground as surface runoff and part of it filtrates or infiltrates into the ground as groundwater. So, it is the main source. Then second is the connate water. So, connate water is not as much available as meteoric water, but it refers to the water that is trapped within the pores of sedimentary rocks. So, sedimentary rocks are so porous type rocks. Porous in the sense means there are so many pore spaces present within the sedimentary rock. So, water present in these pore spaces of the sedimentary rocks is known as connate water. So, as sedimentary rocks are rich in fossils, it is also referred to as fossil water. Then third category is juvenile water. So, water added into the underground storage mainly by magmatic process, that is juvenile water. So, magmatic process is clearly evident that there are so many eruptions taking place. So, due to this volcanic eruption, water is produced within the earth's interior and that water becomes the source for groundwater, and that water is termed as juvenile water or magmatic water. Then coming to the occurrence of groundwater. So, groundwater occurrence can be divided into, vertical distribution can be divided into two major zones. The subsurface occurrence of groundwater can be divided into two important zones. One is known as zone of aeration and zone of saturation. Both of these zones are separated by water table. So, there are two zones within the ground, that is, one is zone of aeration and second one is zone of saturation. And this zone of aeration and zone of saturation are separated by an imaginary line known as water table. So, coming to the zone of aeration. So, as the term represents, it is fully an aerated zone. It is the zone which lies above the water table. So, water table is the demarcating line between zone of aeration and zone of saturation. So, zone of aeration is the zone which lies above the water table and it is called the zone of aeration. In this zone, most of the pore spaces are filled with air. So, most of the pore spaces are filled with air, that means there are very less chance for water to present within this zone. So, most of the pore spaces are filled with air. The zone also known as unsaturated zone. So, unsaturated means it is not fully saturated with water. So, that is unsaturated zone or vadose zone or zone of suspended water. It is also known as unsaturated. Why it is unsaturated? Because it is not fully saturated with water, or also known as vadose zone. Vadose zones or zone of suspended water. Sometimes there is a chance of little bit water present somewhere in this zone. So, it is also known as suspended water. The water percolating in this zone is called vadose water. So, water present within this zone is known as vadose water. Actually, there is very rare chance of water to present in this zone of aeration, because most of the pore spaces are filled with air. So, water filled pore spaces are not at all present. Even if some water filled spaces are present, that is why it is known as suspended water zone or zone of aeration or vadose zone. So, water present within this zone is known as vadose zone. Second zone is zone of saturation. So, it is the zone of rocks in which rocks where all the pore spaces and fractures are filled with water. So, compared to the zone of aeration, in this zone the fractures and the pore spaces are filled with water. This zone is called zone of saturation. That means, zone of saturation means it is fully saturated with water. That means, there is no air filled space, all the spaces are filled with water. So, that type of zone is known as zone of saturation. So, this is called zone of saturation, and the top of the saturated zone is called the water table. So, water table is the demarcating line between zone of aeration and zone of saturation, and zone of saturation is demarcated by water table. So, top of the saturated zone is called water table. The zone is also known as phreatic zone or saturated zone. So, instead of unsaturated zone, here this is zone of saturation, and this zone is also known as phreatic zone or saturated zone. It is saturated in the sense most of the spaces or all the pore spaces are filled with water. So, it is known as saturated or phreatic zone. So, in this figure you can find out the groundwater occur when water recharges into the surface through cracks. So, here you can see the pore spaces are filled with water, that is the zone of saturation. So, above the zone of saturation is the water table, and above the water table is the zone of aeration. So, in this picture you can clearly see the zone of aeration, zone of saturation, water table. So, water table is the boundary between, it separates zone of aeration and zone of saturation. So, a well you can see water level up to the water table. Two wells are demarcated in the figure. You can see the water up to the water table, and above the water table there is no water, that is it is fully aerated zone, that is zone of aeration is present. So, let us look at a vertical distribution of groundwater. So, vertical distribution in the sense this is a downward distribution of groundwater. we learned two zones, that is zone of aeration, zone of saturation. So, in between the zone of aeration and zone of saturation there is a demarcating level, that is the water table. Above the water table it is the zone of aeration, most of the pore spaces and are filled with air, and below the water table, that is zone of saturation, it is completely saturated with the water, and groundwater slowly percolates within the ground as it goes downward. So, downward percolation is possible within the pore spaces. Vertical distribution here consists of two zones, one zone of aeration, zone of saturation and water table, and water present within this zone is the main water table. Main water present within the zone is the groundwater. So, the zone of aeration is undersaturated or unsaturated, whereas saturated zone is fully saturated with water. So, let us go back once more into the topics we have learnt. So, we learnt about groundwater. So, groundwater is the water that is present beneath the ground surface, filling the pore space between the grains in the bodies of sediment and clastic sedimentary rocks. So, it is a major economic resource, and the branch of geology which deals with groundwater, occurrence, distribution and movement of groundwater is referred to as hydrogeology. Then comes to the water cycle. So, water cycle is a complete cycle. So, water falls as precipitation. Water falls as precipitation into the ground, is a constantly being cycled in the process. It is a major biogeochemical cycle controlled by sun. So, sun is the major source behind the water cycle. So, once the solar energy, the water vapor evaporates and rises in the form of vapor, and once the vapor begins to cool, it condenses to water droplets, and gravity is the main driving force that pulls the water back down to the earth as precipitation. Next is the stages of water cycle. What we learnt, there are 7 stages: evaporation, condensation, sublimation, precipitation, transportation, runoff and infiltration. So, coming to the part of the precipitation that infiltrates into the ground as groundwater. So, one part enters into the ground as groundwater and another part that flows as surface runoff. So, surface runoff enters or joins with rivers, lakes, ponds, etc., and finally reaches the ocean. So, again once it reaches the ocean or water bodies, it evaporates and rises up, and the condensation falls as precipitation. So, the cycle is repeating again and again, and this is the water cycle. Then we learnt about the sources of the groundwater. Sources means how the groundwater is stored within the, or what is the major source behind the groundwater. Mainly there are 3 sources. They are meteoric water, connate water and juvenile water. So, meteoric water is the largest and the main source for the groundwater. So, it is the water that is mainly enter into the ground as atmospheric precipitation. So, the atmospheric precipitation reaches the earth's surface and it is infiltrated into the ground as groundwater. So, this is the meteoric water, and second water is the connate water. It refers to the fresh water or salt water that were trapped into the sediment as or the sedimentary rocks, and these water is also known as fossil water because it is sedimentary rocks are normally associated with fossils. So, this type of water, connate water, can be included as fossil water. And the third category of source is juvenile water. So, it is the water added to the underground mainly by magmatic emission. So, magmatic emission means magma is ejecting into the earth's interior, and due to the magmatic ejection there are so much of water is ejected into the ground, and this water is trapped as magmatic water or juvenile water. So, these are the main sources for the water, groundwater. Coming to the occurrence, groundwater occur mainly in 2 zones. One is zone of aeration and second one is zone of saturation. The zone of aeration and zone of saturation is separated by water table. So, above the water table it is the zone of aeration and all the pore spaces are filled with air. There is no chance of water present in this zone. So, it is known as vadose zone or suspended zone, and water present in this zone is known as vadose water. Coming to the zone of saturation, it is fully saturated with water. So, it is the upper limit for the water table, or in this zone it is the pore spaces are fully filled with water. So, it is known as saturated zone or also known as phreatic zone. Coming to the vertical distribution of groundwater, groundwater is distributed vertically in the zone of aeration, zone of saturation and water table. Water table is in between the zone of aeration, zone of saturation. So, zone of saturation is known as the vadose zone, and the water present is known as vadose water. Zone of saturation is the phreatic zone, and water is known as the groundwater is present in this phreatic zone, and the water table is the upper limit of the zone of saturation. By this we came to an end of this section. Hope you understood all the sessions discussed in this class. We will meet in the next class with the topic factors controlling the groundwater movement. Thank you.